Hello, guys. You are welcome to another episode of In My Bag, where we discuss all money conversations. Always remember, I'm not a financial expert advisor. If you require one, you are welcome to search for one. This is just teachings or lessons based on personal experiences and things that I would have read up and etc. So today we are going to talk about insurance. I know you're probably thinking she wants to sell us some insurance. No. I'm not here to sell you guys insurance. I'm here to tell you that you need to have insurance, whether you like it or not. I don't care who says what. You are never sickly. You need a medical aid. You never lose your devices or whatever. You need an insurance. You have never been in an accident. You've never scratched your car. You need a vehicle insurance. You need insurance. Whether or not you feel like you're still young, you're not going to die anytime soon, you need a funeral cover. You need an insurance. So today that's what we're going to touch on. Different types of insurances that one can actually get as a South African, right? And then before we go into that, I want us to have a little chat about the two-pot system, guys. Actually, I think I'm low-key. I love the work of the two-pot system. Like, not even from a perspective of this is my money, I'm withdrawing my money and all of that. I know that I said you guys shouldn't withdraw. I still maintain that stance, but I love how a lot of things have been uncovered due to the two-pot system, right? One of the shockers was actually finding out that, I mean, I've always known because I work with this type of things, right? But actually it being told to the public that 82% of employers in different industries, right, particularly I think the security industry, the retail industry, have not been paying over their contributions to different funds, and the funds have not been holding them accountable. Like, it was shocking, guys. 82%, that's wild, right? And it just brought me to something that I always encourage my clients to say: whatever you do, when you receive your payslip, when you look at your payslip, always ensure that you know where your money goes. Because it saddens me when I have a conversation with the person and I say, where is your provident fund seated? And you're like, I don't know. And I'm like, every month you're paying 1,000 plus 500, 200, whatever amount that you're paying, and you don't know where your money is going. It's important that you know where your money is going. You look at some people have medical aid. They just assume that because employer says it's going to maybe Discovery or whatever medical aid, then they assume that that's correct. If you are told that you're with Discovery, guys, or you're with whatever medical insurance that you're with, make sure that you know your medical number. Make sure that every third month, because that's where usually insurances lapse. Every third month you're calling in your insurer, finding out if you're not in arrears, everything is in order. Because there are a number of cases, unfortunately, whereby person has been deducted money, right, by employer, deducting money as per usual, only to realize that their insurance actually lapsed at some point. And then when they try to utilize the benefit and they're told, oh no, you're not covered for this period because at some point your insurance lapsed, so only after a certain period your employer was able to reinstate it. So always make sure that you're informed. I don't care who says what. Every cent that leaves your salary, whether you get paid 2,500, whether you get paid 25,000 rand, however much you get paid, make sure that every cent is accounted for. If you notice changes, always contact your HR, your payroll, or whoever is responsible for those type of things. If you notice that there's a change in your tax deductions, contact the relevant personnel. You see that there's a change in your medical contributions or in your educational fees or whatever the case may be, contact HR, because they have to give you an explanation. If anything differs or changes within your salary, you must be told what has changed. You must be told why it's changing, and you must have an understanding. So I'm really loving the two-pot system in that regard. So yeah, but I still say don't withdraw, guys. Don't withdraw unless really it is urgent or it's pressing that you withdraw, but don't withdraw for vibes. So today we are going to go into the heart of the conversation now, right? Before we go into that, guys, I see that you're watching the videos, especially Employment Wednesday videos. Oh my god, love it, love to see the growth, but you guys are not subscribing. If you are going to be watching this video and you are not subscribed, please do yourself a favor, subscribe to the channel, share the channel. That's what grows the channel. That's what makes other people more informed. If you find this video very informative and you find it helpful, I think take it upon yourself to share it with the next person who might find it useful as well. So now we are going to go into the heart of the conversation, which is types of insurances. So in South Africa, we have two main types of insurance, which is we have the non-indemnity insurance, right? Which is insurance that is taken out to indemnify yourself against an occurrence of a future uncertain event such as death or disability. And unfortunately, this is South Africa. We live in a country where you can die anytime. You can be healthy, you can be all things, but you can get short, or something can just happen to you and you die. So it's very important that you are covered in that regard, right? And then the non-indemnity insurance is governed by the Long-Term Insurance Act 52 of 1998, and basically also the non-indemnity type of insurance is considered as long-term insurance, which is like your disability, your life cover, your business insurance, insurances that you probably use 20 years from now. You're uncertain the event is going to happen or not, so that's the type of non-indemnity insurance, also known as long-term insurance. And then we have indemnity insurance, which is taken out to indemnify one against loss or reimbursement against loss, right? So this is whereby you're reimbursed if you suffer any form of loss. So with this type of insurance, this is where we insure our devices, we insure our homeware, we insure our jewelry, we insure our vehicles, and etc. And as we insure these things, right, if anything happens, whether you lose this particular thing or it gets damaged, you are able to claim from your insurance, and then you are reimbursed the exact amount or value of that particular thing, right? And then now we are going to go into the essential layers of an insurance, basically things that what makes an insurance. So basically, if you're going to have an insurance, like I said earlier on, it's important that you have an insurance. It doesn't matter whether you are not sickly, you must have a medical aid. It doesn't matter whether you're a careful driver, you must have a vehicle insurance, because you're not driving alone on the road. You could be a careful driver, but the next person is not a careful driver. Then they put you in a position where you need to repair your car, and at the time you don't have an insurance and you didn't plan for that incident to occur. So it's always important that you know that you live in a world where you can be the most careful or perfect human being, but other human beings are not perfect, or they're not careful. You could be walking out there and then somebody shoots you and then you die, and you don't have life cover, funeral cover, and you're a burden to your family and all of these things. Or somebody close to you dies and now you don't have funeral cover, you don't know what to do, you're not able to take care of the funeral and etc. So it's important that you have a cover. It doesn't have to be like fancy insurances where you're like, I'm paying 700 rand. Just find, like, when you, well, I bank with one of the the best banks, right? So when you have like a banker, when you have a private banker or a banker or financial advisor, they will tell you your options, right? And they will tell you the benefit of each option. I remember this one time I had a conversation with I don't know what to call them, but they were advising me in terms of my medical aid, right? They gave me the highest option, they gave me the medium option, they gave me the cheapest option. And they explained all those three options and my benefits. And I understood, and I made a very informed choice. So that's the same with insurance. When you take your time, don't wait for them to call you, because I feel like sometimes when people call to sell us insurance, they sell us what they want, and they are under siege to meet sales and targets, so they will just recommend anything. So if you take your time to personally contact your provider, if you want insurance within the banking space or an actual insurance, then you contact them directly and be like, hey guys, I'm looking into getting a life cover, or I'm looking into getting a medical insurance, a disability insurance, an unemployment insurance, right? I mean, we live in South Africa, unemployment, nobody is exempted from unemployment. Anytime you can be unemployed, and it's important that you have that type of insurance. So you contact them, then they will give you options also based on your earnings, based on what type of cover you're looking at, based on what you are covering, right? So the essentials would be, there must be a premium paid, one. Also, there must be something that you're insuring. You can't just open an insurance, you can't just have an insurance where you're saying, I'm just insuring a cell phone device that I might buy in future. No, you can't do that. If you're going to open an insurance or get an insurance, you contact them and say, hey, I'm a user of a Samsung S23 Plus. Currently it's rated at 25,000 Rand or whatever amount it's rated at, and I would like to insure it. So there must be something that you're insuring. Oh, okay, I would like a funeral cover, and these are the list of my beneficiaries. So there must be something that you're insuring. And then secondly, there has to be an obligation for the person that you're insuring with to be able to pay out. So you can't insure an impossible event. You know, you can't insure an impossible product or impossible event. You must always keep in mind that there must be an actual product or an actual uncertain event that may occur or has a possibility of occurring in future. And once you have done that, and once you have established, say, okay, this is my insurer, this is my premium, and this is the amount that they're going to cover. Always make sure, guys, that you know what you're covered for, especially for short-term insurance. Usually long-term, it's very clear what you're covered for, but it's also important that you read the terms and conditions, because I've realized that many of us, we don't read the terms and conditions. You just walk around thinking, I've got an insurance, but you don't know what you're covered for, or you don't know what requirements you need to meet to be covered. We've had situations where a person a person thinks they're covered for a particular disease, right? And then when investigations are done, they find out that they're not covered, and then they insist. Then you go to the insurance terms agreement, then you realize that the agreement actually does stipulate that this person is not covered for a particular thing, or should a certain thing happen. Then you also realize that this person did not fully read. And I know that the font is very small. Sometimes you run away from reading these things, but I really think it's important that you are able to read those things. If you can't read them, ask somebody else to help you read and interpret it, you know, because guys, it's very important that you understand what you're getting yourself into. You understand what you're paying for. If you're going to pay, I always say this, for me, it doesn't matter whether it's insurance, whether it's clothing, whatever, wherever my money is, I must get value for it. You know, even like somebody asked me why this year I didn't attend so many events. I'm like, because I know where my money should go. My money must give me value. So if there's no value for me, unfortunately, I'm not going to be there, or I'm not going to be paying for it. So it's always important that you see that your money gives you, what value does your money give you? Always be informed what you're covered for, so that you don't get a shocker when it's time to claim. Because also, I've realized that sometimes some insurance can be very sloppy. They don't tell you the disadvantages. They only tell you the disadvantages at time of claiming, you know. So sometimes it's important that you do your personal homeworks outside of the consult that you have, to say, okay, I've consulted with this person. Let me ask maybe my lawyer or my financial advisor if this actually makes sense. Then that way you'll be very assisted. You'll be assisted accordingly. And then again, guys, another thing is most insurances are subject to a waiting period. So waiting period can be between 30 days to 3 months, right? Most insurances try to keep it at 30 days, but some at 3 months. So if there's a waiting period, if something happens within that waiting period, you are not covered. So you must always pray that this 30 days, I must be very careful. I must know that, you know what, if anything happens, I'm not covered. Always ensure that within that 30 days or that 3 months, you are not found, you don't find yourself in trouble, because some insurances do have a period that's longer than 30 days, because I mean 30 days is a short time. 3 months is pretty long. A lot can happen in 3 months. So it's important that you know what is the waiting period and when your particular waiting period ends. So you must check the days, calendar days, and etc. And it would be indicated in your terms to say you've got a 30-day waiting period, or you've got a cool-off period. And if you don't understand some of these terms, it's important that you ask other people, whether you have friends, family that are lawyers, or you ask an expert. If it has to do with financial insurances and stuff, ask a financial advisor or a financial advisor if they can assist you any further. But consult with someone. Don't just assume that everything is in order, right? And then always be mindful that whatever happens, guys, don't lie. Don't find yourself, we've had a couple of stories in South Africa where we have insurance fraud. I think a recent one is Rosemary Ndlovu. where there was an insurance fraud where, you know, she basically murdered her relatives because of a life cover and all of these things, right? So it's important that you know that you will get caught, because before payment is made, some insurances can be very lenient, but as far as I've experienced, most insurances, before they make a payout, they investigate. And if there are any loopholes, as a person that's also in the insurance industry, guys, any small loophole, whether it's a R1 excess fee, short 10 cents, any loophole, they don't care. They will not pay out that amount of money. So you must always make sure that you're honest, you're clear on what really happened. If something happens in that moment, write it down, get an affidavit, make sure you have your set of facts clear, documentation to support your claim. Because another issue we have, sometimes people don't have supporting documents, and not because they don't have access, but they just don't know about those supporting documents. And then when at submission time, they're given runarounds, and then by the time they have to submit, you find that the claim has actually, they've forfeited the claim and all of that. So you must always make sure that your things are in order, right? And then again, never miss your premiums, guys. Please, I'm begging you, if something happens, make sure that you contact your service provider and be like, hey, maybe I'm on layoff right now, but I will pay my premium late. So usually if you don't pay your premiums for a period of 3 months, then your policy will lapse, and then you forfeit for all the years that you've ever paid. Imagine you've paid an insurance for 20 years, and then on the 21st year, you miss premiums for 3 months, and then it lapses, and then you will never get benefits, right? You will have to start afresh. So always make sure that if you foresee something happening, contact some, I know some insurances can be very considerate, then contact them, let them know to say, here's what's going on, but I'll have it sorted out. Please bear in mind or bear with me, right? And they usually are considerate, right? And then here's my personal, another thing, right? Do not tell your beneficiaries about your payouts. I don't care how you trust each other. I don't care what happens, but do not have those discussions, guys. Like Rosemary, we know these things happen. And the thing about, I think that's why I'm sorry to bring it to the word of God, but that's why the word of God says, guard your heart with all diligence, because out of it flows issues of life, right? And that's the thing. You could literally have a very good beneficiary who's good at heart until you expose them to the possibility of them getting 25 million, because of your death. You don't know what ideas it's gonna plant. So you don't want to plant ideas in people, right? Or don't share your payouts. I don't care who says what, don't share your payouts. Insure, put in your beneficiaries, let them know that, you know what, you do have an insurance, but you're not gonna share the nitty-gritties of it. Or maybe just write somewhere where you know that if anything happens, it's accessible and people will be able to know what must happen. Or just have a lawyer, man. But yeah, do not tell people, beneficiaries particularly, about what they will get when something happens to you. You don't want to get killed, And then these are my personal recommendations. Because never at any point cancel your insurance for vibes, because you feel like, oh no, you know what, I'm young, I've been paying for like the past 15 years, nothing has ever happened to me. Honey, the day you cancel that insurance is the day that phone gets stolen. And I kid you not, people in the comment section can now tell me that. Tell me, I've been a victim of this. I know for a fact there's a time where I canceled insurance. 2 weeks later, I found myself in a predicament. I was just so lucky because I had like some extra savings and all of that. I could remedy myself. But imagine you cancel your insurance because you feel like you've not claimed from it and it's an unnecessary cost and all of that. And then 2 weeks later, you find yourself, you've damaged your vehicle or something happens. Tell me, how are you going to handle it? It's really not going to be fun, right? So never at any point cancel your insurance. Just rather stick to paying it, because for some odd reason, when you cancel your insurance, that's when you need it the most, right? And then another recommendation that I have, opt for a lower access fee, right? Especially for home valuables, vehicles, cell phone devices. And I say this, right? Obviously the premium is going to be higher, but I say opt for a lower access fee, because usually when these things happen, you don't have funds, you don't have 10,000 Rand lying around. So it may lead you into debt, or it may lead you into delayed reimbursement or delayed repairs, whatever the case may be. So I highly recommend that you ensure that at least have your access fee very reasonable in an amount where you know that you have access to it, either or, and then again, don't tell people, beneficiaries, about what they're going to get should you die or should anything happen to you. You don't want to give people suggestions, right? And then there's a story I want to share. One of the reasons why I'm saying that the whole insurance thing is tricky, keep it private and very careful, and be careful and delicate. Keep the information in a very safe space, right? I remember there's a story I've had before where this businessman, they were running quite a lucrative, nice business and all of that, right? And then they took an insurance against the business, because that type of business, there were sole proprietors. What is it? Is it sole proprietors where it's 1 to 10 people? Yeah, so like they took an insurance against the business because it's a very niched business, right? They took an insurance of at least 15 million on the business, right? Sharp. 12 months passes by, and with those type of insurances, right, there's usually terms and conditions, and waiting periods are longer, because we're talking about 15 million here, and as far as we know, no insurance company just wants to part with 15 million just like that, without proper investigation. So this guy's a businessman, and they've insured the business, and one of them dies, right? And suspiciously so. At the suspicion, suspiciously so, then the insurance company which they had insured their business with starts an investigation. Hawks are involved. It's a whole big thing, right? And now the insurance was like, we're not paying. And the guy was insisting, the one who was left behind, he was insisting, because also the business needs to run, right? The business cannot continue without those funds or without the investment of the other. So he needs that money for the business to continue. But the insurance was like, no, we're doing an investigation. And then they alternatively said, we can actually pay you a quarter, and then you have to wait for the rest for the investigation, right? And validly so, because we're wondering, there's this insurance, and now your business partner dies suspiciously. You could be a culprit. So the moment the insurance suspects that something is off, and they're able to start off an investigation, they can hold off the payment. So always be mindful about those things. Don't instill or input ideas in people. So yeah, that's basically it from me. Make sure that the most important insurances that you must have a cell phone insurance. These days, like, I don't know where the thieves reigned from. Like, it's just thieves everywhere, right? Female, male, like everyone's just, there's just thieves everywhere. So have your cell phone insured. Make sure that you have a very minimum access fee. And then secondly, make sure that you have a funeral cover. We've had so many stories, like especially with celebrities, well-known people, where you find that maybe their loved one passes on, and because they didn't have a stable income, now they need donations for the funeral to be paid for and all of that. But thinking about it, had they had a funeral cover, they wouldn't have to go through that process of asking for donations and etc. So always make sure that you have a funeral cover. If you still have both your parents alive, put your parents, put your siblings there, like put your close relatives there. Make sure that you have that provision, that should a death occur, should a funeral arise, you are able to take care of those costs, because it can really be such a it's such a sad process. You're mourning and now you're stressed about money, so have that. And then have a life cover. Should anything happen to you, your beneficiaries are taken care of. And have a disability cover. Like, guys, it takes a blink of an eye for you to be disabled. Like, these are things you don't plan. These are things that can just randomly happen. And the moment you're disabled, you lose your chances of income. Like, your opportunities of income or ever living a normal life are taken away. So you need to have that covered. You want to be able to cover that. You want to be able to have a decent life even after being disabled. And then I cannot stress this one enough. As Mrs. Employment Wednesdays, I cannot stress this one enough. Have an unemployment insurance cover. No, not UIF. Ibambe UIF, because we've got its own issues there, right? But I'm talking about an unemployment insurance where you can contact your bank, you can contact a direct insurance, and then they will debit a particular amount depending on how much you want to be paid monthly should you get unemployed or dismissed and etc. But also the condition is usually not you resigning. No, there is covered there by the provident funds and etc. But with an unemployment insurance, it's usually whereby you get dismissed or you get retrenched and all of that, then you would have been contributing premiums depending on how much you want to be paid for at least a period of 6 months. So then you contribute your premiums, and should you lose your job, you're able to get a normal salary that you were getting for a certain period of time. So make sure you have that. I can't stress that enough. Make sure that you have that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this video encourages you to have insurance. It's important that we have both long-term insurance and short-term insurance, and whatever you do, always make sure that you're informed about the numbers. Check your statements quarterly. Check who you're insured with, what's happening. If it's an investment, check if your money is growing, and check if if your employer does it for you, directly to the insurers and stuff like that. Make sure that you're checking if everything is in order, there are no arrears or anything like that. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and what's in my money jar, the tip today is from me to you. Make sure you have insurance. That's the tip that I have for you. Make sure that you have insurance, particularly because we are this generation that's always on devices and etc. Make sure that you have your device insurance. It will save you a lot. Do not forget to be loved and liked. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. And tell me some of the bizarre insurance stories that you've heard in the comment section. Let's talk. Open the conversation.